Hello and welcome to episode 159 of Controller Club, the friendly face gaming space, a podcast where three friends from three continents share in one love, and that is video games. On today's show, Marathon has been delayed, Borderlands 4 might be good, and Warner Brothers is shaking up how they are doing video games. But before we get to all that, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Kleinfeld. Alongside me today, as always, are two of my best friends in the whole wide gaming world. First, coming to us from across the pond, it is the digital art daredevil himself, Tom Drew. Tom, nice Carly Rae Jepsen shirt. That is for the YouTube audience out there. I like it. That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Kyrie Jepsen merch. I had to rep her at some point on the podcast, and there's a cooler design on the back as well, which the YouTube audience even can't see. Maybe if we get enough requests, I'll show it. That seems weird to say. Anyway, we're here, we're having a good time. Yeah, Kyrie Jepsen forever.
Tom, you don't need to sell your body on this podcast. That's not something
just
that we are getting into
I'm
quite
just trying to
yet.
show the shirt, guys. Seriously, jeez.
We are not in quite as dire straits as I think you think we are, but let's move on. Next up, a journalist extraordinaire, Australian abroad, Canadian in training, Lauren Rouse. Lauren, happy 10 months in Canada.
Thank you. Happy 10 months to me. And also happy first day of summer to us all. It's
We
15
did it.
degrees and raining. So it really feels like it.
I think it's been 25 around here over the last week or so. It's been very warm, but this weekend, thunderstorm warnings in effect. It is going to be loud. Right now, I think there's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect as we speak. At any moment, power could go out. So I'm just warning the two of you. You may have to carry the rest of the podcast if that happens.
Wow, it's like a ticking clock for the podcast.
I know.
I love it. Raise the stakes.
Okay, let's get into the podcast today. Enough of chitter chatter. Let's get into the news. Tom Drew, please give us that news jingle.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
We'll start with me. This is a little bit of a weird one. Metroid Prime 4 is out now? Question mark. We don't really know. This is from Tom Phillips over at IGN. A giant advert for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond showed up at London's Oxford Circus tube station, states that the game is now available, sparking confusion from Nintendo fans on their morning commute. First off, if you've seen the advert yourself, no, the current London heatwave hasn't melted your senses. Tom, is it really hot there? What's going on?
Oh god, it's roasting. I have the window open. I would have the fan on if I could, if it wouldn't wreck the recording. But it's hot. It is hot today. So
I didn't know that. Okay, well, our condolences, I guess. The advert, now spotted by multiple fans and confirmed in person by IGN staff, really does say the game is out now. Officially, Nintendo has not announced a Metroid Prime 4 Beyond release date, other than a vague promise it will launch this year. But even if the game isn't out now, its appearance on an advert in such a prominent location is giving Nintendo fans hope its launch is right around the corner. IGN then went back and updated the story this morning. They reached out to Nintendo for comment. They wrote, Nintendo has confirmed to IGN that the Metroid Prime 4 advert currently in Oxford Circus station in London is incorrect, and the game still lacks an official release date. Quote, we can confirm that the out now message on this advert is incorrect, end quote, a Nintendo spokesperson said. Quote, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Switch 2 Edition are not yet available and are scheduled for release in 2025. IGN has been able to verify that the advert currently remains in place at the station. Tom, I want to ask you, and if you haven't, I'm going to send you on a mission. I don't know how far Oxford Circus Tube Station is from you. Have you seen this? What do you think about it? What's going on here?
Yeah, I haven't seen this yet. I could go see this. It's very easy. It's probably like a 40-minute tube ride for where I am at the moment, so it's achievable. I wonder if it's still there. I mean, as of like this morning, it was still there. So I guess the Nintendo ninjas haven't gotten to it just yet. But it's a weird mistake. I mean, people were pointing out that I think the out now kind of like symbol or font was like the same one that was used on the Mario Kart billboard that's like right next to this. So maybe there could be like a graphics error that happened here. People just like copy and pasted the wrong thing. But also it's such a strange thing to slip through the cracks that it makes me wonder, like, I think Prime 4 could be soon. I mean, we have Donkey Kong coming next month. It's just so weird. Like, why would this happen? So I don't know. I could see it coming out in August potentially, but also I wonder if they would want to maybe position it as like one of their bigger, like, I don't know, like November games. I know we have like Pokemon Legends coming out later in the year, so they're probably banking on that for sure. But maybe it is sooner than we expect, or maybe there'll be a direct down the road in the near future that will like clear this up and like tell us that it's coming soon. But just weird, just really strange.
Very weird. And not often you see Nintendo mess up like this. Like they are usually
Yeah.
fairly buttoned up when it comes to these sort of things. Lauren, do you agree with Tom? Do you think this might be a Photoshop snafu that went awry? Somebody copy and pasted the wrong layer?
Yeah, I really don't think this is a big deal or that it's worth reading into. Clearly, there's probably like two boxes. One's like Metroid Prime coming out on X date, and one is Metroid Prime coming out now, and they just put up the wrong one or coming soon, you know? So yeah, it's just a mistake. It happens, but I don't think it's like a big hint that it, you know, means that it's coming out in like a secret code from Nintendo that's revealing the release date. I do think it's obviously coming out this year, and like you say, Tom, probably is like a big tentpole for later in the year. But I don't really see the big deal.
I think that we are probably days away from hearing about this game's release date. There's a rumor going around, Nate the Hate, who's like a fairly reliable Nintendo leaker at this point. They've gotten more things right than they have gotten wrong, is saying that we're going to get a regular Nintendo Direct some point before the end of the month. The end of the month is 10 days away.
So
So,
I saw that and I shared something related to that, and I realized that might not be like, it might be a fake. That
oh
might be a fake.
no, Tom,
So we
you were
might. I know.
fooled?
I know. I'm the culprit of misinformation. It can happen, guys. It's crazy. So,
It's the
um,
entity.
it is the entity is taking over. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if there is like a Nintendo Direct like soonish. I just feel like it is probably time. Maybe not this month, but like I could see something happening in July or even like August or something like that. But yeah, I mean we
Well, the
just got a
last one,
Donkey Kong one,
th-
but yeah,
and the last one before that was the actual Switch 2 reveal, right?
Yeah.
The
yes, it
April
was
one.
the April
Yeah.
one, yeah. So
So
I
we
guess
really
pretty much.
don't
unless you
know
want to
too much about
count,
like the latter quarter
we
of the
did
year.
get that direct, the Mario Kart direct at the
Yeah.
end of April.
Yeah, and then
But
we just
nothing
got the
that's
Donkey
like,
Kong one.
here's the rest of our
Yeah.
release year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know we got some things like Kirby Air Riders coming some
Yeah.
point. We're getting that Hyrule Warriors sequel game. So there are things that we know about,
Hollow
but
Knight
a lot
Silk
of things
Song.
aren't. Hollow Knight Silk
Hmm.
Song at some point. So yeah, we just don't have like clear dates. So it'll be nice to like get that at some point. But who knows? We'll see.
Lauren, do you want to jump to your story next?
Sure. I'll be honest, it was a slow news week, but I was excited to see that Borderlands 4 previews happened this week, or some outlets were able to publish their previews, and it's looking pretty promising. So, Borderlands 4 is Gearbox Software's next game in the Borderlands franchise. It's coming out on September 12th. And here's just sort of a brief snapshot of some of the different elements from different outlets about the game. So, Screen Rant, Sean McGillis says that thanks to a handy new jetpack, all Borderlands 4 characters can now double jump, dash sideways, and glide through the air. These new styles of movement can be invaluable as you traverse the game's open areas. And to help explore the more open spaces in Borderlands 4, you have a portable motorcycle like vehicle called a Digi-Runner, which you can construct whenever you need it. Although I will note that from reading other previews, they point out that this is a one-seater vehicle only, so if you're playing co-op, you're going to have to ride separately with friends. No passenger princesses. Another review from Radio Times, or preview from Radio Times, Alex Raisbeck said, weapons are now fully modular. While you'll still go around finding unique one-off guns, you can also mix and match different parts from different manufacturers to create weapons with wholly unique combos, which I believe was in previous Borderlands games you could only each weapon was from a single manufacturer, and now you can like basically merge those with different parts from different manufacturers. So people are saying that is exciting but also a little fiddly, so that's something to keep in mind. IGN's Travis Northup wrote, another interesting change coming with Borderlands 4 is the new, clearly darker setting and story. Taking place on a new world called Kairos, the world has been dominated by an oppressive immortal being known as the Timekeeper, who controls the population using cybernetic implants. The change in tone is pretty clear, and even though you've still got the usual cheeky characters, sexual innuendos, and over the top gore, there's also quite a bit of darkness and the beginnings of what seems to be a significantly more grounded story in play, which will hopefully wash away some of the shallowness found in Borderlands 3. And then from our friend Brian Shea at Game Informer, he wrote, Borderlands 4 walks a fine line of changing so much about the overall experience while remaining definitively Borderlands. Running around the new, more seamless world, blasting enemies with the latest and greatest weaponry dropped by enemies and found in chests was as satisfying as ever. With that core intact, as well as an increased emphasis on seamless exploration, aided by fewer loading screens than ever and a vastly expanded suite of traversal moves, Borderlands 4 feels better to move through than any prior game. I also want to point out that we did have Brian on the show last week and he teased what Game Informer's cover was going to be. We now know it's going to be Borderlands 4. So this is very exciting. We'll get to read this. I guess probably by the time it comes out, it'll be a review or preview. Anyway, we'll read more about it in Game Informer if you want to. So bits and pieces from different reviews here, or previews here, rather. It seems like the game is a bit of a upgrade on the previous version. I don't know what your guys' history is with Borderlands, if you played 2 or 3 or even Tales from the Borderlands. Do either of you have history with it?
So I played Tales, but I've not played a mainline Borderlands game. But I've been wanting to. And like maybe 4 is the one. I mean, like I really liked Tales of the Borderlands because I felt like the tone was a lot of fun. I thought the world and the characters were a lot of fun in that as well. And then we saw the Borderlands movie together, and I was like, do I want to touch a Borderlands thing ever again? I don't know. But no, I feel like that hasn't like completely soured me on Borderlands as a franchise. Maybe this is the one. I did hear like, yeah, that 3 wasn't like the best follow up to the first 2 games, which I think have a bit more reverence to them. So I'm glad that 4 seems like it's improving a lot of those things and seems like it's a little bit more fun. So maybe 4 will be the one. I don't want to like I don't want to say I'll definitely play it, because I feel like if I do, they'll definitely come and bite me in the ass, and I'll be like, I don't have time to play it. But maybe this could be the one. So we shall see when it finally comes out.
I have played 1, 2, Tales, and the pre-sequel, I guess would be the name. Yeah, the pre-sequel. And I like Borderlands fine. Borderlands 3 just kind of passed me by. I've never really been a big fan of the world of Borderlands. I think that the even back when I played Borderlands 1 for the first time on PS3, the humor wasn't for me. But it's the same reason I like Diablo. It's that constant, I love these number go up games where it's just like I'm constantly getting better loot, which in this case is guns. And Borderlands 4 sounds like, with these like manufacturer parts and things like that, sounds like we're going to get even more of that. I'm going to be able to like really hone in my build and make this Borderlands character essentially a Diablo character, where I am like going in and fine tuning everything to my liking and picking this piece from over here and this piece from over here to make like my unique Borderlands character. It sounds pretty cool. I don't know if I will end up playing it. I just like Borderlands 2 was kind of the one for me that I was the most into, and it was a social thing. I had friends that played 2. We played 2 together. Even when they re-released 2 on PS4, we got back into it. I think I was in college at the time and we all played. And so that was it for me. Whereas I don't know if that crew is going to be into Borderlands 4. The movement sounds cool. Like that sounds really neat. I really liked I think it was like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare or Infinite Warfare, one of them. They introduced something like that where you had kind of this like double jump and like being able to like jet to the side and stuff in this futuristic kind of team deathmatch setting. And to me, adding that to the Borderlands world, that's cool. Just give me like another unique traversal mechanic. This Tron bike sounds interesting, where you can manifest a mount at any point, because I know I don't know if it was in the first, it must have been in the first one. I know in the second you had like vehicles you could drive around, but it was very much like
you have to go to a
would
specific point.
Yeah, you would get into a vehicle, you would get out of a vehicle and leave it there, and then it didn't come with you. You had to go back and get it if you wanted to keep it around. So being able to like spawn at any point sounds neat. So I'm glad that these are positive, because I was worried that this was going to be like, oh no, like another Borderlands, here we go again, Randy Pitchford. But it does seem to be positive, and no mention of like any eye rolling humor or anything, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's still there, but it's just not as garish
Not
as
as
it has
cringy.
been.
I know they brought in a bunch of like different writers for this game, and like some pretty, I'm trying to remember who, but some pretty accomplished like modern comedy writers that you would look at and go, oh, like I like that project from that person. I like that project from that person. I like that project from that person. And so that's exciting. It's like it isn't going to be the same, like, I don't know, fart jokes for 60 hours like the rest of the games have been.
Yeah, claptrap all the time. Yeah. I will admit I was pretty like level on Borderlands 4 coming into this. I was sort of like, yeah, it'll come out. Maybe I'll play it, maybe I won't. This has caught my interest. I was a bit like you, Klein, where I mean, I played 1 and 2, I think, growing up in my like first person shooter era when I played a lot on PC, and then kind of dropped it because I dropped a lot of shooters when I moved to console. But then I got picked up 3 again because it was co-op and I could play online with people, and that's what I was doing. And then I just never really got too far into it, because I can't even describe why. It just wasn't really doing anything for me. But this does, like, I like the idea that it's going to be fun to move around the world, that it will be an exciting, like, hopefully entertaining story. Yeah, the instant callable mount just should be standard in every game at this point, but I'm glad that they're introducing that. And I'm not a big, like, the thing that does sort of set off alarm bells is like, it's a looter shooter, I know that, but I don't really care much for modding guns. I just want it to pick up and shoot and do what it's supposed to. I don't want to have to sit there and play with it in the menus. So it'll be interesting to see how that is balanced in the game and whether you can choose your sort of play style in that way. But I think I feel pretty convinced by this, particularly if I can find other people who will play like co-op with me.
And it won't be $80 like Randy Pitchford had tweeted saying the fans will be there at $80. They have come out and said it is actually $70. So there we go. Tom, do you want to take it away with your story?
Yeah, sure. So, from one looter shooter, I guess, to a studio that is known for a big looter shooter, we're talking about Bungie, of course, and we're talking about how Marathon has been officially delayed. And this comes from Matt Wales at Polygon. Bungie has announced an indefinite delay for its live service extraction user Marathon, citing the community's, quote, passionate feedback following its reveal in April and a subsequent playtest. Reactions weren't especially kind to either of those marketing blowouts. Some went as far as to draw comparisons with Sony's ill-fated Concord, and it seems Marathon's alpha playtest last month also generated substantial negative criticism, judging by Bungie's latest blog post. Quote, after much discussion, end quote, Marathon will no longer launch on September 23rd as originally announced and has instead been indefinitely delayed. Quote, the alpha test created an opportunity for us to calibrate and focus the game on what will make it uniquely compelling. Bungie continued, we're using this extra time to empower the team to create the intense, high-stakes experience that a title like Marathon is built around. End quote. As it looks to get Marathon back on track, Bungie will hold more close testing over the next few months, and these will bring new game updates and features with the studio's immediate focus being on the following. And they basically talk about upping the survival game. So they talk about more challenging and engaging AI encounters, more rewarding runs with different loot, and dynamic events, making combat more tense and strategic. They also talk about doubling down on the Marathon universe, so increased visual fidelity, more narrative environmental storytelling, and a darker tone that delivers on the themes of the original trilogy, and adding more social experiences, which I think is one of the big ones because proximity chat was one of the big things that people wanted, and they said that proximity chat will be a thing that they incorporate. Bungie says it'll provide a progress update alongside a revised release date sometime this autumn. Quote, thank you again for your patience and, much more importantly, your passion. Your continued feedback will help us make Marathon the incredible gaming experience we all know it can be. End quote. So yeah, we've talked a bit about, well, both Marathon and also just kind of PlayStation's live service gamble, I guess, and how they've kind of walked back on a lot of that stuff. Obviously, they acquired Bungie a few years back, and they were kind of banking on, well, you know, Destiny 2 and Marathon being kind of heavy hitters. And from the looks of it, at the state that Marathon is, I don't know if that's going to pay off for them or not. But Klein, I know you were big into Destiny. So as the resident Bungie follower, do you think we see Marathon? Do we want to see Marathon? What do you think about the situation?
I'll start with, do we want to see Marathon? I don't know if I wanted to see more of Marathon. This isn't my kind of game. I'm not an extraction shooter kind of person. I don't think I was going to give it a chance, but if I was, Bungie was going to be the team that would make me do it. I just think that like Destiny 2 is one of the best feeling first person shooters I've ever played. They know how to make cool, unique, worlds and weapons feel good to run around in and use. And I think that they could have convinced me. I don't know if I want to see Marathon at this point though. It's just it seems like such a tainted name. The initial impressions were not great. We have this art stealing whole controversy that's happening. I'm sure that that's going to go away quietly with some unknown settlement payment going to somebody. And that's like I don't know if this game can capture the thing we talk about on this show all the time. I don't like I There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much room. There's only so much capacity for a games as service. And yeah, I guess putting a game like this out there, you have the chance of being the next Helldivers or the next Marvel Rivals or the next Fortnite even. But you also have the chance of being the next X Defiant or like Roller Champions or like all these games that we see come and go. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the quality of the game. I mean, we just saw it with Concord. That game was I played it. That game was good. It wasn't great. It was good though. It just I don't think would have lit the world on fire even if it was given a chance. And that's scary to me. Marathon had a release date, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, September 23rd.
It was September. So that's
Yeah.
like that's was supposed to be soon. I'm glad that they are taking it behind closed doors, but I don't know if we ever see it again. And the more I think about it, I don't know if we see Bungie, at least in its current form, kind of ever again. Like right now, it is still independent from PlayStation Studios. I have a feeling that Marathon could go behind closed doors in a similar way that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League went behind closed doors. Maybe they release something, maybe they don't. And I think Sony, more important, PlayStation will look at them eventually and go, "Hey, you're coming under the umbrella. You are now a PlayStation studio." Destiny 2 is kind of like not doing great right now either. So it's not like they have that thing that they can really lean on and justify not being a PlayStation studio. Sadly, that probably means like they're going to lose staff. I don't know. They have this reported, I think it's called Gummy Bears, is the reported name. They have a Gummy Bears project in the works, which is like another multiplayer project at Bungie. But I'm just, this Marathons thing is just a mess.
Yeah, it's well, a gummy bear. If I mean, I know it's just a code name, but I'd love to see a gummy bear like just game. But no,
There
I
was
think
rumors it was going to be announced like at Summer Games Fest, this Gummy Bears project.
really, I
Yeah,
mean
like it's
that
apparently really far along.
That is wild. I mean, maybe we do see that, but yeah, I just feel like with Marathon, I mean, like we this well, the past couple of weeks, I can't remember exactly, but Rainbow Six Siege recently went free to play, I believe, and I think, and I don't know if Marathon would have been like a paid experience or whether it would be free to play or whatever, but Rainbow Six is like, obviously another extraction series that's huge,
Marathon was
and
going to be $40.
okay. Yeah, I just don't know if that like holds up because Rainbow Six, from what I can tell, I've never played it, but like it seems like the kind of extraction on consoles. So like when you're weighing up like a free experience versus like this kind of, from what I could tell from the early access, kind of like an underbaked thing that doesn't have a lot of content there, no single player. What is there really to offer there? And yeah, I just don't know whether it could realistically survive, unfortunately. um it's a shame as well because yeah, like you mentioned, Klein, like Destiny isn't in like the best place. I know they had this kind of like live stream where they went over their strategy over the next kind of few months and how they're kind of changing that up. They also like unveiled that they're doing like a Star Wars like collab sort of thing. I wonder if that will get people like more into the game. I don't know if that will pay off or not. But yeah, it is sad because like I've dipped in and out of Halo. I've never played Destiny, but I've kind of followed along with it over the years. But Bungie was like so revered for so long that it's kind of sad to see it kind of struggling, and I dread to think that it is kind of like assimilated into PlayStation and is kind of like, and the name is just kind of wiped, and it's because this nameless kind of entity. But it feels like that might be the way it's going. But Lauren, what do you think about the situation overall?
like to be the optimist, even though the gaming industry has given me no reason to do so. But I feel like if they have this alpha test, right, that people played and they've gotten feedback, and that's what those kinds of tests are for. It's like test screenings in movies. Like you do that to see what's working and what's not. So I feel like this is a normal part of the process to like go back and develop it a little bit longer and fix the things that aren't working and bring it back in a stronger form than it was. So I'd like to think it's coming out. I don't necessarily think we need it, but that's just a whole other conundrum of like people thinking like PlayStation's thing of like having live service games, even though it's like, okay, we liked having one, we didn't need like 20. But games take so long in development now that's too late to stop that wheel. So, we'll probably see a reversal of this in another 10 years where it's like, okay, now we have an influx of whatever's popular right now.
Gummy bear games.
But which ones?
Yep.
Oh,
Gummy bear games.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I think it is just kind of a product of that. Like Marathon is a name. Like it came out in the 90s and was popular, so I could see why they'd want to try and revive some of that. And I think there's a way to do it, and that it might hit again. But yeah, they have
But
to take the
Lauren,
time to get it right.
I don't know if it's as an extraction shooter though. Like that's the thing, is Marathon's a name, yeah, but like it was a single player, like first person
Hmm.
shooter, very narrative heavy thing. Whereas this is like, other than the name Marathon, it seems that this is very much not at all that franchise.
Right. Well, maybe that'll change after they go back and
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
some
Well, that's
things.
what, like, imagine if Bungie had come out and like, we're making Marathon, and it was Marathon. Like it was we're rebooting the franchise. They're doing what they did with Doom in 2016 or Wolfenstein a few years ago. We are just making a new game. It's going to be the start of a new thing, story based, first person shooter. I think that like that would be one of the most anticipated games out there right now. But because it's an extraction shooter, because it's one of these ongoing, everlasting gobstopper games that we don't have enough time for, and people's cups are already full, there's no anticipation.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm like nervous, is because like the single player is one of the big things that a lot of people want, and I just don't know the time scale that they're kind of given themselves or alluding to in this blog post. I just don't know how far along you can get with like a ground from the ground up single player thing,
If it
unless
was
you
supposed
like
to come out in
piecemeal it.
September,
But
this game was almost done.
yeah,
Like this
exactly.
quote
So
unquote alpha test, I don't know how alpha it actually was.
who knows? But I mean, yeah, presumably it was very far along. So like to kind of reverse course now and do like a just a single player thing, and like I guess essentially do the Destiny thing of like this piecemeal thing where they have like story things like, over the course of years or whatever. I just don't know if players really want that. I think they want a full experience and not this kind of drawn out thing anymore. Because it's just at a certain point, it's just like, how can I keep up, or how can I keep engaged in this thing? How can you keep me interested in this? And they've had that problem with Destiny of like they have so many expansions, and like at a certain point, it's like I just don't think it's sustainable for like someone to keep up with.
It is weird. Like I am trying to be optimistic, but if Concord hadn't happened, I would be more confident, but it did happen, and I think that was it's probably just it just happened too late. They probably saw that and were like, well, shit. But it's just too late to reverse that now. And so I think it's better that it comes out than not coming out at all. But yeah, I feel like maybe resources better well spent would have been just to do a Destiny 3 or whatever the next
Yeah,
Destiny is. Or build out a single player narrative in that, or something like try something new in that world, because people are still invested in Destiny. Whereas, like you say, like Marathon was from the 90s and it was very different. So there's a lot of those people who have aged out or aren't playing it anymore or have found something new.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, weren't they
and
working on a Destiny spin-off or something like that? But then they canned it.
I don't know. There's been the whole like what we're doing after Destiny 2, even Destiny 2 as a whole thing. I remember 2 years ago them going, "Hey, our last expansion is the Final Shape, which came out last year," and they haven't they held to that promise. Like they haven't released more content expansion since then, but like they've continued to support Destiny. Like I kind of thought that would be it. They've continued. There's new story chapters you can go play. There's like a whole bunch of stuff that they're adding to it. I kind of thought 2 years ago when they announced the expansion, it was like we're doing this, we're turning off the faucet, and we're transitioning to whatever's next. And now, like, the future of that franchise is very unclear. I don't think Destiny is the name it was even 2 years ago. And now they have Marathon. They also have this Gummy Bears project, whatever that is. And so, like, it's like the future of the studio is really, really, really murky. Of like, what does it look like? What game is actually going to come out? What game is going to hit? Which is a place that I don't think that Bungie has been in, maybe ever in its at least since Halo 1.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think it's a position that Sony thought Bungie would be in, like, when they bought
These
it.
guys were
Like, I
supposed to
thought
be the online game czars for them. Remember, they're the ones
exactly.
who
Yeah,
they came into Naughty Dog and said, you can't do this this Last of Us multiplayer thing. It's not going to work the way that you think it is."
yeah. So it's just, yeah, it is just sad to see. I hope, like you say, Lauren, I want to be optimistic. I hope they look at the alpha and they, at least for the multiplayer side of it, they can address some of those issues and it comes out and people like it. But yeah, it's just it's a bit of a tumultuous time for like live service and PlayStation and Bungie, just like in general.
Also, don't steal your art from people. I'll just like
Yeah, don't
throw
do
that one in
that.
there.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad luck. Okay, that's it for the news this week. Tom, Drew, give us that outro.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
We go over to our big topic, the meat and potatoes of the episode. Warner Brothers has changed up the way it's going to do video games. For this conversation, I'm going to pass the host mic over to Tom Drew. Put on that cap, Tom. You're going to take charge of the show. Let's get into it. Warner Brothers, what's happening?
Yeah, so the news we choose is over, but technically it's still news. We're talking about news still. We're talking about how Warner Brothers Games kind of shifted their gaming strategy, and I just wanted to talk about it. I think it's kind of interesting. So this comes from Variety, and they say Hogwarts Legacy maker Warner Brothers Games has set a new leadership team for its development, production, and tech operations, and restructured into divisions based on its 4 key franchises: Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Mortal Kombat, and the DC Universe. Per WBD, 3 current studio heads have been promoted to the role of Senior Vice President as part of the Warner Brothers Games restructure. Warner Brothers Games Montreal studio head Yves Lachance has been promoted to Senior Vice President Development, overseeing the development teams working on Harry Potter and Game of Thrones games. NetherRealm studio head Sean Himmerich has been promoted to Senior Vice President Development, overseeing the Mortal Kombat and DC games. And Warner Brothers Games New York studio chief Steve Flannery has been promoted to Senior Vice President Central Tech and Services, overseeing game and publishing technology, customer service, quality assurance, and user research. Under the new WB Games development, production, and tech leadership structure, Lachance, Himmerich, and Flannery will all report directly to JB Perrett, Warner Brothers Discovery's CEO of global streaming and games. Quote, our company is home to some of the biggest franchises in the world, and we are optimizing our team structure to develop long-term franchise roadmaps to delight players and fans of Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Mortal Kombat, and DC games. This comes from JB Perrett, and he continues, we are very fortunate to have a strong stable of development and technology talent, and Eve, Sean, and Stephen are respected leaders with excellent track records in areas of expertise. I'm looking forward to working closely with them and the team as we work to make the best games possible for our key franchises. End quote. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting strategy of like putting the focus more on, I guess, the franchises as opposed to like the studios themselves. And I'm just curious on how this all works. But what do we think of this as just kind of like a surface level decision? Do we think this changes anything like on a studio level and how that's like things are allocated? Do you think this is going to see like more outsourcing to other studios? Lauren, I'll just pass it off to you initially. What are your initial thoughts on this kind of report?
Well, I'm curious, did they say what studios are being siloed into what franchises? Because that would be a big change. Like if suddenly, I'm trying to think of a studio, like, okay, let's say Rocksteady, obviously we would think that that's going to be like, all right, you're going to be in the DC division. But then what if Rocksteady turns around and is like, hey, we want to make a Harry Potter game? Like, how does that work? You know, I wonder if it could
That's
be
a big
like
question I have too. Like, what sort of
yeah.
walls are put up here? Like, is this now an umbrella that everyone falls under with these 3 kind of 4 pillars at the top, and all the studios they own are under that, and they can play around in any of the pillars that they want? Or is it like, hey, NetherRealm, like Mortal Kombat being on this list at all is just kind of interesting to me because it is
Yeah.
like Mortal Kombat is big, but it's not like Mortal Kombat. I don't think is as wide potential wise as like the DC universe or Game of Thrones. Like it is very much like Mortal Kombat is a
It's the
fighting
one
game
thing,
franchise.
right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
like,
and
what does that mean? Is NetherRealm just
Like that's
there,
the only studio?
or
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
confusing?
that's the thing. And there's overlap like between some of these. Like Mortal Kombat and DC have famously like crossed over a lot. Like there's been Mortal
Mm.
Kombat and DC games. So like, who do they? I'm trying to go back to the report here. So we have, I guess DC and Mortal Kombat are under the same studio head. They're under Sean Hemrick. So I guess that makes sense. But what if, like, I don't know, Mortal Kombat wanted to do a crossover with Harry Potter for some reason?
Yeah,
Like,
dude. Yeah,
how
give
does
me an
that work?
M-rated Harry Potter fighting game. Sure.
Yeah, or like they wanted to do like if multiverses is dead unfortunately, but like if they wanted to do like a
Mm.
multiverses type of game, that kind of falls under everything. So like I just how does this strategy work? I mean, obviously, like we have Avalanche who did Hogwarts Legacy. They seem like they're focused on Harry Potter and that sort of thing. Rocksteady, like you mentioned, Lauren, focus on DC, like historically NetherRealm, Mortal Kombat. But yeah, I think it could open more doors, but it also could be in some ways a bit more restrictive. I don't. It just seems like a weird initiative.
That would be my concern too, that it's just gonna like make creativity very stagnant in that like, okay, we're gonna be this studio now forever. We can only work on DC or we can only work on Harry Potter. I mean, I can see in some ways the ways it would work in terms of like pooling together talent whose skills or interests lend towards those franchises or works. But yeah, like if they what if suddenly the stuff like, well, but we want to try something different, and then you can't do that because you leave your job. I'm not sure. I can see like repercussions down the line.
I think
Yeah,
that it is gonna be what I like mentioned, where it's like we have they have the core tenants at the top. We have all the internal teams below that, and they can you know go over here, do this, go over here, do that. I am just wondering, why do this at all? I think that yes, it's important for if they had come out and just said, "Hey, we're promoting, like we're changing the name. We're now, I don't know, WB Virtual Experiences, whatever." Like a just an overarching thing, and they're like, our core tenants are these four brands. Sure, that makes sense to me. Like that's say it. James Gunn has said, here's the characters that are most important to us in the DCU. It's like that that totally works. But having these people, unless, and this is the big question I have, unless these four people at the top are now going to also be in charge of outsourcing things, like,
yeah,
is this going to be like Marvel games? Is the guy at the top of the DC side able to go to, I don't know, CD Project Red and get them to make a Batman game? Is the person at the top of the Game of Thrones able to go to Bethesda and say, "Hey, Skyrim team, I know you're making Elder Scrolls 6, but why not make Game of Thrones?" Like, that to me makes sense. And then you have all these other internal teams playing underneath. Like, it's just, it's so, it's confounding to me why this distinction had to be made. Like, what is this going to, how is this going to benefit anybody?
It could just be the way that they're presenting it to us as well. Like maybe it's the way that the report's been written up or the way that they're promoting it. It could be exactly what you're describing. I do think something had to change because, like, we saw these games being cancelled earlier in the year, studios being closed. Like, that did sort of scream like there was a big overhaul coming. And I think that needed to happen. So hopefully, this is the direction that will sort of fix things. But at the end of the day, we don't really know, and maybe we're not supposed to. Like maybe this is just makes sense in the back end, and it just seems weird to us.
We won't know
yeah.
until the first thing's announced, I think. Like, we won't
Yeah,
know really until they get up on stage at San Diego Comic-Con, Gamescom, wherever, and are like, "Hey guys, guess what? Like, some external team is making Wonder Woman or whatever." And then it's like, "Oh, this is the idea. Like, this is why you were doing this." Or they show the first trailer for Injustice 3, and at the beginning it has like DC Digital Studios or whatever, like that they've rebranded things. Like, I right now it is just words on paper. We don't actually have any like hard evidence to look at and go, "Oh, here's the example of what this means and why it's important."
Yeah, well, I think what you say about the outsourcing stuff like I think that's the where my mind jumped to, and I think that makes the most sense at the moment
I
because you
just don't
mentioned
know
like,
why you have internal teams then. Like, I
well,
hate
I
to
think
say
they,
that about Rocksteady and
yeah,
Avalanche and things like that, but it is like Marvel Games works because they don't have anyone in the office. Like, it is just it is just outsourcing team. That's all they do. They don't have an internal Marvel Games studio.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting that they didn't just completely clean house, but like I guess they still want, Hogwarts Legacy. They've said it many times. They that was a success, so they want to keep
Mhm.
that around.
They want to make the Games
Rocksteady.
as a Service sequel. That's what they keep they keep pushing,
Exactly, they got to
keep
do
saying.
it. So and yeah, like Rocksteady had a rough time with Suicide Squad, but like that's still like a great studio. They want to make another Batman game with them, I'm sure. But then like that Game of Thrones War for Westeros game, the like RTS Game of Thrones game, that was recently announced is being developed like externally by Playside. So I think it's just more so like they want to take advantage of these franchises as much as possible, as much as like a Marvel Games is doing, as much as like Star Wars is more so now,
Yeah.
with like their kind of gaming endeavors. Because again, to the Marvel comparison, like we're seeing such different types of games coming from that, whether it's like Marvel Rivals or the Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, the fighting game that they're releasing with PlayStation, or the Cosmic Eclipse like beat 'em up. There's like so many different things, and I feel like this is probably just them removing some more of the risk, um, of like the upfront like costs of producing these games, and they were only wanting to commit to these ones because yeah, like you guys mentioned, Monolith closed in February. WB Games San Diego, Player First Games, who develop multiverses, is like closed, so they're probably just wanting to limit the risk and like, but also maximize how much profit. Like that sounds very cynical, but like they just want to maximize as much profit from these franchises as they can. So this is like the strategy of like, okay, these are the core tenets. Um, let's figure out how we can make as much money as possible, and that's, I think, outsourcing makes the most sense.
I do think that we're wondering about the segmentation and things like that. Thinking about it actually for a second, it does make sense to me why you would put up these barriers, because it isn't exactly like Marvel Games. Because like if somebody was to be the guy, the person at the top of Warner Brothers games, let's say, where they're going to outsource everything, that's a vast catalog for one
mm,
person to be in charge of. Like it is not just Spider-Man and Iron Man, and like it's not just like these superheroes like over at Marvel or the Star Wars characters over at Star Wars. Like even that, I guess that's a good example with like Lucasfilm Games. They have their people, and Marvel Games is their people, and so this is, I guess, kind of doing the whole divide and conquer thing for each one, because it's Warner Brothers. Like they have a lot of IP under their belt.
yeah, exactly. And I will. There's a talking point I will get to about, because they have a lot of IP, and I wonder how this all fits into this strategy. But I guess we should just talk about these pillars for a second and where they're kind of at. What do we want to see from them? So we'll start off with Harry Potter, because that is the kind of one that like is the most known quantity. We know Hogwarts Legacy 2 is happening. Avalanche is working on it. What do we, I guess, what do we hope from Hogwarts Legacy, or if there's another like Harry Potter thing that we want to see? Like, is there something else we want to see like in the Harry Potter universe? What are you guys' thoughts, Lauren? Is there anything you want to see from Hogwarts Legacy 2 or anything Harry Potter related?
Well, I just want to put a disclaimer in that anything that I hope I want to see from Harry Potter, which I do, I just wish didn't come with the uh,
Baggage.
side effect of money going towards
Yeah,
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
yeah,
like, when Hogwarts Legacy began, she was not as vocal as she is now about her views on trans rights and things like that. Um, so I could sort of get on board with Hogwarts Legacy, but now continuing to profit and build out the universe as successful as it is, I just know that it's going towards it. But Warner Brothers doesn't give a shit. Like, it's happening in the movies, it's happening in the new TV show, whatever. They're going to keep doing it. So I don't know what we can do about it. It's just, it does have that unfortunate baggage of anything that we hope for out of Harry Potter is now unfortunately supporting her by uh, association. But putting that aside, I think Hogwarts Legacy has to happen, or Hogwarts Legacy 2, sorry, has to happen. It does. Making it a live service game would be the worst thing to happen for that game. So I hope they do not go down that
It's gonna
route.
happen,
But
Lauren.
God,
they would
the
make,
next
make a
Destiny.
huge, huge mistake. So I hope that, like, if it's early enough in development, that they don't do that. Um, so yeah, because Hogwarts Legacy, the first one's actually like, it's not amazing, but it's pretty fun. So I think that needs to happen, and it needs to do well. They need to build on what they've created. They need to introduce Quidditch for sure. Not this Quidditch side game that they released. Like, it needs to be in the game, and like, let's get outside of Hogwarts, I suppose. Let's go to some of the places that we saw in the movie. Let's be able to go to the ministry or something like that. That's probably what I want to see from that game. I have some other ideas of things in the Harry Potter game world I'd like to see, but I'll come back to that if you guys want to talk about Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like because I didn't play Hogwarts Legacy. I heard it was good. Like, my flatmates enjoy it. They kind of update me on like, oh, I got to this part. They have this like kind of trying to one up each other and like trying to get as far as the game as possible. But which is cute to see, I guess. But yeah, I think there's just yeah more locations. I don't know if you go to Azkaban in. Do you go to Azkaban in the game? I'm not sure.
You do, I think, but I'm not
Okay.
sure if you play much in there. I think it's a cutscene.
Right. So I'd like to see a bit more of that. I've always found Azkaban's my favorite movie, so I'd love to see like more of that. But yeah, even like, and this is maybe going into like another like different kind of game, but my ideal, and you can't really call it Hogwarts Legacy anymore at this point, but my ideal would be like, let's set it at like Ilvermorny, like the American like Hogwarts, or let's set it in like, I don't know, like an Asian Hogwarts adjacent school, just like something completely different. Basically, like I guess what I'm asking for is like an Assassin's Creed ization of like Hogwarts thing, where you're just seeing a completely different side of the world, because that's kind of what like I mean, they were hoping to do with Fantastic Beasts, and that kind of just like fell on its face.
Mm.
But just seeing like another side of this world, and I think like games is a good way to do that because you can have like an open thing and expand it a lot more. So that would be my hope. I don't think we're necessarily gonna do that. But yeah, I just kind of hope we get more locations and that sort of thing. But yeah, Klein, is there anything you would hope to see from a sequel?
Triwizard Tournament. That's what I
Ooh,
want in a sequel.
that's good.
I
Yeah,
haven't played Hogwarts Legacy 1, but I assumed that there wasn't the Triwizard thing wasn't a part of it. I think that that would be actually a very logical place to go with the second one because
yeah.
it expands the world, it brings in all these other characters. I don't think there was like persona like relationship kind of things in the first one, but I think that could be a really cool thing to do, especially in the Harry Potter world where there is so many like you think of just like the movies with Harry and all the people he meets and the friends he makes and the enemies he makes, like being able to kind of like craft that sort of thing and have your story be your story in a sequel would be neat. But I I didn't play the first one. I probably won't play the second one. It's funny that Lauren, you say you don't want like a side Quidditch game. That's my pitch for the Harry Potter game. Give me an actually good Quidditch game. Like they released one last year, 2 years ago. That was awful. It was not. It just was not good.
Did you
Maybe
play?
Quidditch. Yeah, I did. It was free on PlayStation Plus. Um,
Right.
and it just wasn't great. Maybe Quidditch ultimately doesn't work in video game form, but I remember there was a PS2, GameCube era Quidditch game that was
Yeah.
fire. That was called like the
Yeah,
World
I think
Quidditch Cup
like
or something.
when they adapted the movie to like the movie to game versions of
Yeah.
the movie
Yeah, yeah.
of the Harry Potter films, I think there was a Quidditch that was fine
Yeah, I
in
think
it.
so.
Um, I just don't think a Quidditch game can stand on its own, personally. I think it's better to be inbuilt into something like Hogwarts Legacy, which will probably be like DLC or something
Yeah,
among them.
my game wouldn't be it's not a $70 Quidditch game. Like it's
Mm,
probably like, you know what? It's probably super cool art style. It's $15. It's just like I'll talk about a sports game that I've been playing. It's
right.
over the last week later. Like it very equivalent to that. Like it just
Yeah.
like not a triple A thing by any means, but I think that that's what this move by Warner Brothers is ultimately trying to do. That they don't need to every game doesn't have to be this massive 10-year dev
Mm.
cycle, hundreds of millions of dollars. Like we can outsource this to some other team and they'll make like a cute, cool, unique Quidditch game. They can put their own spin on it.
But then isn't that kind of what they were trying to do with that Quidditch game that you played and was bad? Like, what went wrong with that?
It played terribly. Like it was just like it was very it felt like on the broom, it felt like you were like flying through mud. Like it just did
Uh,
not move. If you had just sped
Right.
that game up by like 150%, it would help with like some of the problems. But
Okay.
that's like the biggest one. It's just like flying through this 3D space on the broom. It felt like you were moving through molasses.
yeah.
Yeah, I think for it to work like you're describing, it would have to be like get EA on it or something like that to put in their sports knowledge and
Take FIFA
have your
off for a
fantasy
year. You don't need that
teams.
money.
Yeah,
They can do
Exactly.
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
I think EA did the Quidditch game that I was talking about on like GameCube and PS2.
Oh, okay.
I think
Yeah,
Maybe.
so.
get them back. I mean, honestly, just like it's interesting that like I'm trying to think of like many licensed games that have got like straight like remasters or remakes, but like just remaster like that whole game, bring it
I need
back.
to find the
Like,
name of this
why not?
game, like because I
Yeah.
can picture it in my head.
Because I feel
Well,
like why not? But yeah, sorry, Laura, you gonna say something?
well, I was gonna say while you look it up, my ideal like Harry Potter game outside of Hogwarts Legacy is like give me because part of the elements of Hogwarts Legacy I really liked was like having a terrarium, which was
Oh
kind of the
yeah.
Fantastic Beasts element of the game where you could like get beasts and take them back to your terrarium and feed them and groom them and like take care of them, and you had plants that you grew and this and that. Give me like a Stardew Valley Harry Potter game. Like I think that would be really fun, like a farming sim kind of vibe at Hogwarts, where it is a little bit more lo-fi, and a bit more like, yeah, I guess Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing style, where it's like I'm tending
Hmm.
to my room of requirement, or my I get to go and buy my books at Diagon Alley and look after my room and that kind of thing. Like just something that's like not action RPG.
Like
It's just
building
more
your own
like,
Hogsmeade.
yeah, sure,
Oh
totally. That'll
yeah.
be fun.
I
Yeah, that
found the
would be
game, by the
cool.
way. I'm gonna for
Mhm.
the YouTube audiences. I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up here.
Pulling
Quidditch
it up.
World
Oh
Cup,
wow.
developed by EA Games. There we go. We have B-roll on the show now, guys. Look at
Ah.
Yeah,
us.
that the graphics on that look crazy.
Yeah,
Like that cover looks
yeah,
insane.
So
definitely,
Quidditch World Cup.
definitely a product of the time. I
Yeah,
think that was
but
like probably like Chamber of Secrets era, maybe.
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, but you can just remaster it, like bring it back.
Mhm. Give me a Harry Potter extraction shooter. That's what we're missing.
Oh my God. So
Throwing
we're gonna
spells.
we're gonna take Marathon and we're gonna reskin it into a
Yeah.
Harry Potter extraction shoot. Is what you're
That
saying?
could, you know what? That does sound crazy, but like wizards in at the Battle of Hogwarts, like it's like an actual like PvP like shooter where you're
I'm shocked
shooting
it hasn't
spells at
happened, to
people.
be
Like
honest.
that'd be
Yeah.
pretty
I'm
sick. There
shocked.
was a battle royale right when that craze started. I forget what it was called. That was all spell based and like magic based. It was actually pretty
Oh,
cool.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, is it Spellbreak? Is that the name of
Yes,
it?
that's
Like,
Spellbreak. Yep,
yes,
that's the one.
yeah. I never
And
played it,
it's
but I
like
heard it was really good.
they kind of tried to do it with that. Is it Immortals of Avium, where it was kind of shooter but
Mm,
magic?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
That
that's
didn't really
yeah.
take
Take
off.
that team. I don't think that team exists anymore. Take what existed of that team and say 100 wizards drop on a Hogwarts somewhere in the middle of, I guess, England, and
yeah.
battle royale Harry Potter shooter.
It would probably, out of all the, potential live service multiplayer games that we're like, we don't need more of, that would probably do well if they did it right.
You could do
Probably.
skins. I could be Neville Longbottom.
You could be the Dursleys going around. I don't know. I know they're
Oh
not
my god.
wizards, but like that would be.
You could be both versions of the Dursleys. You could be the movie version and the upcoming HBO TV show
Oh
version.
god,
I don't know. This sounds
so
like
many methods
free
for
to play. It
monetization.
sounds like a license to print money.
Yeah, it
That's
could
what
be.
Hogwarts Legacy 2 is going to be.
Yeah.
Oh man, I certainly hope not. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any hard ideas for like, Harry Potter. I think I'd probably go in like the cozier like direction, like similar to like what Lauren was saying. I don't know, like make it like a herbology game. Let me just like plant some plants, look at some screaming banshee plant things or whatever they're called. Just have a fun time. I think like they could give the Harry Potter license to like an indie dev or something, and like I feel like they could do something like interesting with that potentially. Give me like an unpacking, but it's like unpacking for
Mm.
Hogwarts. I don't
Oh my
know.
god.
But yeah, I think there's some cute ways they could use the license, but unless we have anything else to say about Harry Potter, I guess we can move on to Game of Thrones. I'm not like that well versed with Game of Thrones. I've only seen like part of the first season. So I'm gonna be handing this mostly over to you guys. Obviously, like I mentioned, we have the Game of Thrones Wolf of Westeros game that's being developed by Playside, which is like the real time strategy game. And I think there's also some other Game of Thrones stuff in the works, but um do you guys have any hopes for this game, or are there any like things you want to see otherwise? Klein, I'll jump to you.
Well, the strategy game route for Game of Thrones works like perfectly. Lord of the Rings has done it. Like it for this kind of world, it just makes total sense. There's only, I think, one right answer that you're gonna. If you asked 100 Game of Thrones fans for a potential game, it's the game that they've been like teasing us with in these, like, they just released one and it was like an awful mobile game. Like, give us the Game of Thrones Witcher game, like the open world RPG Game of Thrones thing, because it makes sense. Like, it's this amazing fantasy. It's the same reason The Witcher works. Amazing fantasy world, all these characters make decisions, set it outside of canon so you can actually like play around with things a little bit, or maybe like way somewhere else on the timeline, join a house, raise that house to glory, make it crumble, do whatever. Like, I think that is going to happen. I think that this decision that Warner Brothers just made, one of the reasons they do it is so they can make this Game of Thrones game, because I think it's the Game of Thrones game that they have wanted to make and they just don't have the team to do it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Lauren, I know you're a massive Game of Thrones fan. What do you think? Is that what you want to see? Is there like an ideal developer you would want to see take on that kind of project? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the game that Klein has described as kind of the only game out of the Game of Thrones world that would entice me, and it is kind of what I'm just waiting for. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but like even seeing the Playside game, the trailer, I was like, this looks so cool, and then I was like, oh, it's a strategy game, and I'm still kind of half tempted to try it because I really like the world, but yeah, I do want that open world style game. I'm trying to think of a team that would be. I mean, like, obviously the ideal one would be CD Projekt Red, but I don't expect them to do it. But somebody in that vein, like even
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't want to like assign any of my dream teams because I want them to keep doing what they're doing. But someone who can like do it to that caliber would be great. I don't really have any other sort of ideas of what Game of Thrones games could be
Yeah.
that would actually do well.
Could Obsidian do it? Make this game?
Is that the Avowed people?
Avowed, yeah, Avowed,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fallout New
potentially.
Or what
Vegas.
about
They have Outer Worlds 2 this year.
Yeah, they might be a good fit. I haven't played Avowed yet, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
But
that is good.
yeah, something like that.
My question for you guys then, before we move on to more combat, what if instead of like, I don't think they would do this necessarily because like I feel like the awareness of Game of Thrones is so entrenched in that show and House of the Dragon, obviously. But say they were to take like a Song of Ice and Fire and be like, we're gonna like kind of do a retelling of this, similar to like what they're doing with like the Bond game, and do like a video game spin on that original source material. Would you want to see that, or are you like more so like no, it should be like what the show is?
Maybe in Lego.
I'd be
A
into
Lego.
like, I just want to be in this world doing an RPG like that. Like, I don't really even need it to touch the show in it. I don't need Peter Dinklage there. It'd be cool, but like, I like this world. I like this like political intrigue that you get from this world, and especially at the time when the books are set, where it is like this, okay, we all have to band together because the end of the world is coming. I don't know if I need the show in it. It'd be neat, but
I think it would be too hard to do it in a game, to be honest. I'm legit though. I think a Lego game would be fun. It's just obviously too adult for a Lego
Yeah,
to do it. But that would probably be the only way that I could see it happening is like retelling it in a funny kind of schlocky style that Lego does.
I was wondering if
yeah,
a Game of Thrones MMO could work.
yeah. Potentially, like inserting. I guess they had that. I don't know which game it was, but it was kind of like a you made your own OC and then you were like in the world. So I could see that
It was
happening like in
Telltale.
MMO. Oh yeah, it
Telltale
was
made
yeah
a Game of
Telltale.
Thrones game where you were like this like new house, and you were like
Yeah.
Mm.
making decisions and stuff.
So yeah, I could see that working for like an MMO experience, um but yeah, we'll move on to Mortal Kombat, which I think is of these three. I mean, it's the video game franchise of the four of these, but it's also like I feel like the most narrow in terms of what you can do with it because Mortal Kombat is obviously fighting games. Um, we've kind of had rumblings of like maybe an Injustice 3 is happening. It's been a long time since Injustice 2. Um, so that's like the only thing that we kind of really have on the horizon in terms of what might come out. I know Mortal Kombat. Is it Mortal Kombat 1 was the last one, or was it Mortal Kombat 11? I can't. Yeah, Mortal Kombat
One.
1. Yeah, so
which is
which I
technically
don't.
11, right?
I think 11 came before it, so I think it's technically 12,
Oh,
which
Yeah.
is makes it even more confusing.
But it's like
Um,
kind of a reboot. Like it's like an alternate universe
yeah.
where they like
So
changed a lot of the characters and their stories, and yeah,
yeah,
right.
and I don't know if that set the world
didn't
on
do
fire.
super well.
Yeah, like because we've kind of had a fighting game resurgence with like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8. We've got these like tag team fighters on the way. Um, so I wonder what the next direction is gonna be. I think going off just quickly from what I would want, obviously Injustice 3, like that would be cool. But I think Injustice has always had like DLC characters where they'll bring in like Scorpion or Sub Zero or Raiden or whatever. And like I mentioned like earlier in the episode, Mortal Kombat and DC have had like team up games before, and I think it would be cool to just bring that back. Do like a DC versus Mortal Kombat type of game, where you can have like the full rosters rather than like randomly Raiden is here for some reason, or like the Joker is in Mortal Kombat and like with no one else, which I always felt like that was a bit of a strange decision. I think just doing like a full mashup, the best DC characters, the best Mortal Kombat characters, put them in a game. I think that would be really cool. But is there anything you guys are hoping for? Whether it's that, whether it's Injustice 3, whether it's a new take on Mortal Kombat, Lauren, is there anything you're hoping to see?
Well, I guess this is one of those games that does it cross the line into being DC and Mortal Kombat kind
Yeah,
of with
Yeah,
Injustice, but I think
exactly.
Injustice 3 has to happen. Like it has to happen. I think particularly after Mortal Kombat 1 not really hitting as hard, like this has to be made. Like people have just been waiting for when was Injustice 2? Like a decade ago? Longer?
I'm trying to think. I think it might have been like 20. I don't want to say a number.
2017.
Doesn't matter. It's been
2017. Wait, really?
2017. January 27th,
yeah.
2017.
Oh my
So even
god.
if they announce it now, it's probably going to be a decade by the time it comes out. Like, and I think with Marvel doing a fighting game, like the Tokon, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Tokon
it took
Fighting
Yeah.
on fighting souls.
and Rivals and things like that, and Street Fighter coming back. DC needs or Warner Brothers needs something, and Injustice is 3 is just there waiting. So I think this has to happen. I think it would be great if it tied into what they're doing with the movies, or at least having skins from that. I don't think it necessarily needs to replicate the story, but playing on some of the characters that they're building out over there to have like that brand synergy would absolutely make sense. So I think this is really the only direction. I'm sure they can make Mortal Kombat 2 or 13 or whatever, and they will, but I think right now they need to pivot for a minute and like focus on Injustice.
Yeah, Injustice
Yeah.
makes the most sense. Like I think it's leaked several times. I'm pretty sure Injustice 3 was on that Nvidia leak a long, long time ago.
Oh
Because
man.
I can picture the title. There was like a subtitle after the 3. But I think that Injustice 1 and 2, even if you're not a fighting game fan, does like really cool story stuff with the DC world. Like it's genuinely a awesome DC story. I still think Injustice 2 is one of the best like looking games maybe ever. It's those cutscenes are absolutely insane. Before Tokon got announced, I thought NetherRealm was going to, and this might sound crazy, I thought we were going to get a like Injustice versus Marvel, like a DC versus Marvel game, which would be amazing, would be so cool. I think that Marvel Games is in a place right now where they are open to cool ideas and would be willing to do something like that. We've seen crazy things happen, especially in the fighting game world. Like there were Tekken versus Street Fighter games, which is, or there was one, and then the other one never returned the favor. But like those are two different companies that came together and made a game together. So like I think that NetherRealm could have done something like that, but they're going to make Injustice 3. Um, Anything else? So like that's why I'm just confused why Warner, or not Warner Brothers, why Mortal Kombat is one of these pillars. It's like
Yeah.
I guess you can't just have like an other category and put everything else under it other than Mortal Kombat. Like Mortal Kombat 1 flopped. It is like I was looking the other day at like Evo, which is about to happen, the big fighting game tournament, and Mortal Kombat is like one of the lowest numbered entrant games of the whole weekend, which is wild because for a while there, like Mortal Kombat, Injustice, these NetherRealm games were right at the top. They were the big ones. They were the things keeping the fighting game scene afloat. So it's not sunny days over there by any means. And I think, yeah,
Yeah.
Injustice 3, it kind of like it's the same reason Hogwarts Legacy 2 has to happen. It's like Warner Brothers needs to make money. And what's going to make them a lot of money? Injustice 3 probably.
Yeah. The only thing I could maybe see other than like a fighting game is like whether they took one of their like characters and like centered a game around them, like Scorpion or like Sub-Zero. I think they've kind of done that
The
way in the
PS2
past.
era, I think they
Yeah,
did stuff like
exactly.
that.
I know they've done like movies centered like specifically around Scorpion, like animated stuff. So I don't think it's like outside the realm of possibility where they're like, okay, we're just gonna do like a single player thing where like we're just gonna build out Scorpion's moves so you can do these like crazy moves. Like I guess like a basically like a Bayonetta, but it's like it's Scorpion instead of you're doing those like crazy combos and stuff. Um, so that's the only other thing I could see. But like I feel like the Mortal Kombat is like a fighting game at the end of the day, so I feel like they would just be like very honed in on that.
Mortal Kombat dating sim.
Hey, I mean, I play it. Why not? I'll date Sub Zero. Why not?
Johnny Cage.
Um, yeah, I'm sure he'd be cool. But yeah, if that's all we have for Mortal Kombat, I mean, we just talked a lot about DC anyway, but let's talk about DC a little bit more, because that's the fourth pillar here, and just for like context of the games that we kind of know are in the works. Obviously, we had Wonder Woman was cancelled this year. Monolith is no longer, which is a shame. But we do have the rumored Batman game. This in the works of Rocksteady. WB Montreal is supposedly working on like a DC property based on some job listings, and apparently it's in Unreal Engine 5. We don't really know anything beyond that, or even if that's necessarily true, but that is kind of the rumor or the rumblings that are going on at the moment. And then also, the most anticipated game, of course, DC Worlds Collide is coming from WB San Francisco as an iOS game, which I think, going back to the whole like overarching thing of this, I do think a lot of this is just going to be like, we're just going to make a bunch of mobile games from these properties, but that's neither here nor there. Of these, of anything else, I guess we can start with Batman because that's probably that's all our bags. What do we hope from Batman or from Rocksteady as a whole? Lauren, we'll go to you.
Well, I just hope that it's Rocksteady going back to Batman. And I think it's kind of all the signs are pointing that way. Like, we haven't heard anything officially, but I think that's
I
to
think
save
Jason
that stupid.
Schreier has said a couple times that
Yeah,
they are making a Batman game.
Well, I think they kind of have to, right? Like, they need to go back to what made them successful. Unfortunately, I think the people who led that team are now gone because of the Suicide Squad situation. So
yeah,
whether they can go back there and make it what it was will be interesting. But that's kind of all I want from a DC game. Is like, I don't necessarily want it to be. We've talked about our pitches for this before, but I don't necessarily want it to be like Arkham again. I think the ideal situation would be to like do the same uh foundation, but like in a different story direction, whether that is like Batman Beyond or Long Halloween or something like that. Pick an iconic kind of story arc and like or setting and like commit to it. So that's really what I want. And I know they can do it. Like, we had 3 amazing Arkham games. And Suicide Squad, for all its flaws, had some interesting ideas. It's just that, yeah, can we repurpose that into whatever their next step is?
yeah, definitely. I think you mentioned the Batman Beyond game. I think that would be my
That's the
ideal.
dream.
I think that
Yeah.
just gives them the most kind of, if they want to do like another trilogy, that gives them the most longevity of like censoring like a new Batman, having Terry like wear the cowl, and then you can just like pick a villain and then do a similar thing with the Arkham trilogy of like, here are the villains, expanding that world that the animated series kind of set up. But then also like that allows you still to dip back into the Arkham stuff and the stuff that they established there and like call back to some of that stuff. Like they could do like, I don't know, like a Nightwing game, or like have
Mm.
Dick Grayson take on the cowl of Batman and maybe have like a Damian Wayne like with him. Maybe that could work, or maybe they just do Batman again. I don't know. Maybe Bruce Wayne is back, but my idea would be Batman Beyond. Klein, what about you? I have a feeling you're
You
probably
just took it. It's Batman
yeah,
Beyond. It's the dream. Like
Mm.
that's
yeah,
after the 3 Arkham games, it makes sense. You different looking Gotham, completely different setting, essentially, with a cast of characters that's like familiar but also different. And it would be like it'd be different enough for them where the team isn't going to feel like, oh my gosh, like we're retreading old territory, but it's still the same DNA. I'd like to see Rocksteady try their hand at maybe another DC hero, but I just like I think if someone were to be able to make a Superman game work, I think that Rocksteady could do it. It just I think that's a tough nut to crack. There was rumors
Mm,
that after Arkham Knight, there was a Superman game from them at one point. Like that was one of the pitches, and it just couldn't. They
mm.
could not get it rolling because it's just I think so hard to do the Superman thing. But I'd like to see them. I'd like to see someone try.
I think just on the Batman Beyond thing from Rocksteady, I think that's definitely the ideal way to go. But I could also see another scenario where they do like the 007 First Light thing. Let's go back to Batman Begins,
Yeah, do a year
do the
one.
Yeah,
complete origin story. Year one,
true.
do what the Batman has done, essentially. Kind of like go back to that kind of era of him, which I think could work. Like Rocksteady didn't do Arkham Origins, right? So like this could be their chance to do that. But regardless, yeah, any sort of Batman
They
game is
have
going
to
to
do
be,
something different, whatever it is. Like I
yeah,
don't think it can just be Batman Arkham 4, whatever that
no,
subtitle is. I've
because they
thought
kind
like
of
if
almost tried with Gotham Knights, right? That was
yeah,
like for a while
Like a
there, it was like
pseudo
this is the
sequel.
continuation, and then it
mhm.
Yeah.
really wasn't, and it was confusing. But he was still like dead in that world, and it was very odd.
Yeah.
I've thrown around the idea of a Gotham by Gaslight Batman game from them, which would be like kind of cool, like
Yeah.
taking it way back in time in this like
Mm.
moody noir like Gotham, and it's just like you have to do. I think they have to do something completely different, but it still does need to be Batman because Rocksteady announcing a Batman game is going to be a very big deal for a lot of people.
Including
Yeah,
us.
definitely. Including
Unless they
us.
make
We
a
will
Ninja
all be
Turtle
there.
game, then we are in. We are back.
I mean, Ninja Turtles and Batman have crossed over. Maybe it's
They have.
both. Maybe it's a, you know,
That's my
yeah,
Who's making
biggest
that
out of
last
this
Ronin
whole
game?
change. This whole change, I'm sitting here and I'm like, where are the Ninja Turtles in all of this? That's my my biggest question.
I mean, they're
Yeah,
Paramount though, right?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know
but they're
So
why
making
I
that
always
last Ronin
associate.
game, right? Who's making that? They are.
Yeah,
That is happening.
that is happening, but it's like
yeah, I don't know.
not a big team that's making it.
Yeah. Do we know the
Right.
studio if he's doing that?
We
I can't
do.
remember. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we'll
But
circle back.
you know, maybe they could team up. Maybe maybe as part of this pillar system that they can invite some friends along the
You're
way.
right.
I,
It
I
is
don't really know
Paramount
how it
though.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think because there were rumors of a Rocksteady Turtles game in that
yeah,
gap
there
of
definitely were.
time,
Yeah.
where I just have always associated them with like this team of studios.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
I think you're right though, like on the point of the Superman game, that is like kind of the white whale, right? That is kind of the thing that we do. They had that Superman Returns game back in the day, and yeah, it was like very dated, but man, it was fun to fly around and put out fires and rescue citizens. Like that shouldn't be impossible to do now. Like Spider-Man made swinging feel satisfying, Rocksteady made punching and gliding as Batman feel satisfying. I think there is a team out there that can make Superman feel satisfying. It's just I'm not sure if everyone's either like too scared to try, or the pitches they've tried have failed, or it just hasn't come together in the right way. But I really do think that they should have a Superman game.
Look, I mean, if the Lego Batman games can nail the flying of Superman and make that feel like really good, then like, can we
I
not
don't know
make
if it's
a?
the flying as much as like it's hard to make center a game around somebody who's like literally invincible.
Well, I mean, I think you could, the new movie, like they're kind of depowering Superman a little
Yeah.
bit, so I think
I
there is
think
a
that'll do a lot
angle.
for people, but like a lot of like the idea of Superman for a lot of people is Christopher Reeve Superman who can fly around the world and reverse time and is like it's like that is why a lot of people don't like the character of Superman because he is this nothing can beat him. It's so making a game around that is hard. How do you like someone who can jump across the world just like however he wants and has
Well,
really
you
no
limit
like
him,
there's
right?
you
Use kryptonite.
exactly
Yeah.
you have kryptonite in every enemy's gloves or you do what Tom said, and I think that David Cornsweat Superman is going to change the perception of this character a little bit and like kind of depower him just a bit.
Before we move on, are there any other DC characters you guys would want to see in like a game? I know we mentioned Superman. Okay, Klein, you go.
I have a pitch. Green Lantern Metroidvania.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
So like
thinking. I was
like
because
the
I was thinking Green
powers,
Lantern, but I didn't think
the
Metroidvania. That's
the
interesting.
powers and stuff, like you can totally see how it would work. Like you're getting
Yeah,
more lantern abilities.
like constructs. Yeah,
Yeah, like constructs instead of double jump and hook shot and stuff like that.
yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool direction. I think they could do that. Honestly.
It could be 2D,
Or,
it could be 3D. Like you could give it to a I don't know, like an Ori team or whatever, or you could make it like Metroid Prime and have this like three-dimensional, like make it.
yeah,
I guess Arkham Asylum is kind of a Metroidvania if you really think about it.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
could
It
do
is.
that for
Yeah.
Green
kind of.
Lantern.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, they can make it work.
Hmm. My I'll go a different one, but if Rocksteady doesn't make Batman, I think that they should do Green Arrow. Um
Ooh.
because his skill
Mm.
set is just similar enough to Batman to be like that would work in that world with the addition of a cool bow and arrow and like the tech that you can implant in that, and he's like basically hand to hand for the most part. And I love the idea of him like going through Star City and stopping crimes and things like that. Like it being that detective kind of vibe. I
I
Yeah,
also
think
love
we're
that's a
Arrow
good
from
close
the
pull.
TV
to
show.
a like Green Arrow essence. I have a feeling that James Gunn has big Green Arrow plans because I don't know why he's not like he had the TV show and was big, but I don't know why he's not one of the like
Yeah.
tentpole TV and movie game like IP people.
Well, the same way as Hawkeye isn't, right?
Yeah, I
He's
Yeah,
guess.
just kind of not cool enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But I think he
his
works on
backstory's a
TV and
little
I think
more
he works
interesting
in
than
the game.
Hawkeye's, but
Yeah, I guess if you go back to the island, I suppose, but then it's like, what is this, Lost? I mean, they did enough of it in the TV show. I'm going to say that. I think it's been told. But I want to see it in a new medium, which would be a game. I don't trust James Gunn with Green Arrow. I'm sorry.
I mean, there's. I think there's a way to do it. I think there's a way to make
I
Green
don't
But
Arrow
think
this
work.
is not a
he's gonna
movie
do it.
podcast, so
I have a
Yeah,
feeling
well,
that he has plans for him. I don't think that's the project that he's working on.
we'll talk about it off there. Yeah, I think Green Arrow is a good pull because you can bring in so many different
mm,
characters from the DC universe that way. Where you can do it with Batman, but it's more focused on the Bat kind of centric characters. I think those are good pulls. But yeah, before we round off this WB conversation, I know we've got to shoot off here soon. But obviously, like the big thing is that these are the pillars: Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Mortal Kombat, DC. This seems to preclude a lot of other IPs at Warner Brothers. So my question to you guys: do you think there's anything missing from here? Is there anything that we would want to see from Warner Brothers, like IP wise, that should be either a pillar or should just be like considered for like a really good game? Klein, is there like a? I know you mentioned Mutant Turtles,
Madly
Teenage
looking up
Mutant Ninja
Warner
Turtles, but
Brothers franchises.
yeah. I mean, I could just mention it here. Like, I mean, I think Terminator is like a big enough thing where I feel like I know there have been Terminator games, but I don't think they've utilized that IP. I mean, I haven't played a lot of Terminator games to be fair, but I think they could utilize that a little bit more. I don't think it necessarily has to be a pillar, but I wonder if they could like adapt some of those things into like a really fun game. Like even like if it was like a, I don't want to just say like they should do Helldivers again, but even
no,
like
they
if it was like a
should.
Helldivers, or they do like a Helldivers
So put
collab and like
Terminator
let's put
in Helldivers, totally.
exactly.
It's there
Yeah, I think
already,
that'd be cool.
basically.
Yeah, true. So I think that could work. But yeah, anything coming up in your searches, Klein?
A Looney Tunes fighting game would be fun. If we're gonna do a fighting
That's
game,
kind of
like
multiverses, isn't it?
Yeah, we just got
yeah, but
multiverses.
it's well, rest in peace, it's gone. So do it again. Um, I'm gonna shout out Scooby Doo because there were
Oh my
a
god,
great
Bring back
yes.
many of
those
Scooby
games.
Doo games back in the day that I absolutely loved. Other than that, I'm just looking at like Magic Mike is a WB owned IP. Magic Mike Rhythm game. I don't know.
Build your
Yeah.
own strip club kind of thing,
Exactly.
or
Sure. It's like a
okay,
sim, like a yeah,
Okay,
Mad
cool.
Max.
Yeah.
They did the Mad
Mad
there
Max.
that
yeah,
PS4 Mad Max game was actually
I've heard
pretty
it's
good.
good.
Came out the
Yeah.
same day as Metal Gear Solid 5. I remember that vividly.
Ooh.
It's pretty good though.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
tough.
Tom's got a couple listed here. I will point out the Matrix. I cannot see a feasible way for Matrix to be a game. However, the Unreal Engine demo they did a few years ago was insanely cool. So if that was actually a real game that they could somehow build upon, that would be very fun.
You don't think the
Um,
Matrix could work in
I
a
just don't know how.
I think
Because
you
the
can make
Matrix is such a philosophical exploration. I
yeah.
don't know how
mm,
that translates into
that's true.
gameplay. Like, obviously, like the fights are cool,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world
Just
is
make give me a
cool.
bunch of places to punch people in slow-mo.
Yeah, well that's the thing. Like I remember like the first Sly Cooper, there's like a mechanic where you can like slow down time, right? Like bullet time would be
I
so
miss it.
fun. I
It
mean,
would be,
you
wouldn't
have
it?
you there's like what's that game? Super Hot, where like you're kind of
Hmm.
like that's kind of like a Matrixy game,
Or
I guess.
Mad Max,
So
or not Mad Max, Max Payne. Like that's the whole
yeah,
Max Payne
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, true. But yeah, story
You
wise,
need a really
I think
fresh
it's
take on
tough.
it. You
Yeah,
need to be
definitely.
careful with it. I think of Mad
Dating
Max
sim.
being like that PS4 one, like let's have a proper go. Particularly with George Miller out here being like in Death Stranding,
Yeah,
and like talking about how much he thinks games are the future and like the convergence with blockbusters. I'm like, yeah, man. Well, let's make one out of yours.
yeah. The only other, yeah, I think Clive mentioned Scooby Doo. Like you saying that because I didn't have a list down here, but like I'd love a like just make like a Batman esque game, but Velma's Batman basically with detective vision, and she's like figuring out everything. Like I think that'd be sick. So
Wasn't I'm trying to
do
remember,
that.
Scooby Doo and the Night of 100 Frights was like a
I think I played that
GameCube
one. Yeah,
like collectathon 3D platformer that
Right.
rocked.
Yeah. That'd be cool, man.
there was one on
I
PSP. I can't remember what it was.
right,
That was
okay.
a good time. Was there a
Even, you know
racing
what?
game?
Ooh, I don't
Probably.
know. Maybe a
We'll
WB
see.
racing game could actually. I don't know. You're never gonna get Mario Kart.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about like a Scooby Doo Telltale style adventure game?
That could definitely work, I think. Yeah. Going after different monsters and villains, like, yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Scooby Doo needs to come back into our lives. I don't think it's in our
Yeah.
lives enough.
It really isn't. I know we're getting the like I think we're getting like a Netflix show, but can we get something else? I think that's something better, maybe, please.
Wait,
Anyway,
is
I
is
think
that
that
going to be live action? The Netflix
yeah,
show? Oh
yeah.
God. Oh
It's
no.
gonna be like Riverdale, basically. So
No.
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think that rounds up our discussion on that note about WB games. I'll take my WB hat and give it back to Klein as the host. But yeah, that was a good discussion, guys.
Excellent. Before we get out of here, let's get into what we've been playing. It's been a couple of weeks. We haven't taken a dive into that. Lauren, last time we checked, you were playing a ton of Doom: The Dark Ages. I think you still are playing Doom: The Dark Ages. How is the quest through hell, I guess? Are you in hell in that game?
I don't know where we are. I think we're in hell. I don't know.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Are you
I'm still
talking about the
playing.
podcast or Doom?
In real life, I think we're in hell. But this is the bad place. But the game is still very fun. I'm about 5 chapters from the end, so I
Mhm.
will be seeing it through. Uh, there was a moment where I wasn't sure I could continue because I have intense thalassophobia in games, and there are some swimming sequences. And I had to Google if I could continue. I'm like, is something going to attack me in the water? But it didn't, thank God. So I've been able to continue. And if there's anyone out there who happens to be working on Doom and listening to this, never put sea creatures that will attack me in your games because I can't play. Or at least have a thalassophobia mode, which is what Horizon Zero, Forbidden West did. So yeah, that's my hurdle that I've overcome this week in Doom: The Dark Ages. But yeah, probably by this time next week, I'll have finished it and can give my full thoughts.
Awesome. Tom, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so I actually finished Doom, so I'll save my full thoughts for I guess next week when Lauren's finished it. But yeah, it is a good game. But yeah, I actually this past well not this past week, but last week I didn't get a chance to talk about it. But I was actually invited to a Samsung Odyssey Unveiled event, which was basically like an event to try out a couple of like gaming monitors that Samsung was coming out with. So thank you
Cool.
Samsung for the
Are
invite.
you
It
an
was pretty cool.
influencer, Tom?
Guys, I've got connections. I just want to say, like, I don't want to say like spoil this or anything, but I've got some things in the way. But anyway, this is just the one thing I was invited to. But yeah, I tried out to their. I've written it down here because I don't want to mess up the name. The 27-inch Odyssey 3D 165 hertz gaming monitor. That was their main kind of product they had on offer. And full disclosure, like this is not a sponsor segment. Like
Oh,
I
it
didn't get
could
paid.
be.
It could
Samsung.
be if Samsung wants to give us some more money, I will go to more events. We can, test out some more stuff. But there was some free food and drinks there. Other than that, like I can say whatever I want about the experience. I'm not like bound by any NDAs or whatever. But yeah, take it out what you will. The event was pretty cool. They had like setups where you could try out the monitors. One was like Rocket League, so I just dabbled a bit with that. There's also this like I have some footage, so I'm sure I'll put some footage up. But there's like this other like central area called the Cube, which is like this immersive like area with like mirrors reflecting around, so you're kind of like immersed in the games that you're
Oh,
playing.
yes.
So that was pretty cool. They also brought out streamers at the event to like play on the monitors. So Caedrel was there, who's like big in League of Legends. If anyone knows who's Caedrel is, he's like a massive deal in the League of Legends community. And George Clark, who's like a British kind of content creator. I think he does stuff with the Sidemen and stuff. So they were just doing a live stream, like trying out the monitors. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, as for the monitor itself, it was pretty good. Like I'm not like an expert by any means. I have like an iMac, so like I'm kind of like born into that. But I will say like the display like looked really nice. Like I mentioned, I played Rocket League, and then I also played the first Berserker Khazan, which is a game I'd never heard of before. But it's basically like a Souls-like game, which is definitely not like my like type of game, as I've learned playing Elden Ring. But it's kind of basically like a Souls game where you play as this dude and you hit people with your axe. And honestly, like I had a lot of fun with it. Like it's kind of like this cell shaded art style, and it really pops on the display. And like I mentioned, the display has like a high refresh rate, so like frame rate wise, like it looked incredible. Like, and you know, Souls like players will know frame rate's really important in Souls games, as like Bloodborne players will like complain about often.
Frames win
Um,
games, Tom. That's what they
yeah,
say.
exactly. And you know, I will say, like, I was better at this game than I thought I was going to be. So yeah, it was really cool, and like the monitor itself, like, has a like 3D in it, so it's kind of like it's like a 3DS, but like on
I'm
a
sure they
monitor.
love hearing that. I'm sure they
Yeah,
love hearing you
I'm pitching
comparing
it.
their $3,000 monitor to the 3DS.
I'm gonna like post this in the next step, like here you go, guys, and then like you call it the 3DS, but no, it basically has like a camera, and it like I guess it tracks your eyes with like I don't know, some sort of
Hmm.
software, but it makes like the 3D super like immersive. Like you don't really. It's not that you don't notice it, but it's like not as intrusive as like the 3DS was, for example. It doesn't like strain your eyes, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, like as for Kazan like itself, like again, as I mentioned, someone who's like who tried Elden Ring, and I fell off pretty hard because I was really bad. I actually found like Kazan pretty easy to pick up. It felt like there was like a lot less going on in terms of things I had to worry about. There's like a perfect guard system. So like if you press the button at the right time, you like block like perfectly, and like you can continue a combo a bit more easily. That was really fun to pull off, which is a really pleasant surprise. So I don't know if I'll pick it up necessarily like Kazan, but maybe if it's on PlayStation Plus or if it's on sale, maybe I will give it a try because it was a lot of fun. But yeah, just like overall, really fun time at the event. Thank you again, Samsung, for the invite. And if any other companies want to invite us along to events, hit us up. I guess. I mean, we are open to that sort of thing.
Oh,
So
we are open for
yeah,
shilling, I'll tell you. Yeah.
absolutely.
You send us an email. We're on Hellman Mayo's email list right now for some reason. I'm not I don't know why, but we're on there. So we are getting seen. I want to quickly shout out a game. It came out yesterday at the time of recording. Already reached 1 million players, so shout out. A couple of years ago, a little studio I never heard of called Slow Clap. They hit the scene, put out a game called Sifu. It rocked. It was this like really, really cool roguelike karate kung fu game where you had like amazing control over this character's body. It's one of the few video game reviews I've written over at thedirect.com, funnily enough. They decided to take all of that technology, everything they learned from that game, and what are they going to do with it? They made a soccer game. It's called Rematch. It's out on Xbox Game Pass right now, Steam, and PlayStation 5. Oh my gosh. I am fully back into Rocket League mode with this game. I'm absolutely in love. I've only played 3 games. I'm still very early, but it's like a fighting game almost compared to like something like a FIFA where you're trying to remember all these button combinations. You feel like you have this amazing control over the player. If you don't know what it is, you're actually, instead of controlling a team like you would playing FIFA, it's way more like Rocket League. You're controlling a single player on the field with a team of either 3, 4, or 5, and you're playing against another team. It's 100% online as far as I can see, so you are just playing people online, and it doesn't help you at all. Like in like Super Mario Strikers, the soccer game I've spent a lot of time playing. If I press A, I will pass the ball to my nearest teammate, and it will get to my teammate unless a defender comes and gets in the way. In this, no, there is no pass button. There is a kick button and there is a like shoot button, but there's no pass button. So you press the kick button, you aim, and when you let go, the ball's going to go in that direction, and you have to like actually aim it towards your teammate. And it's really hard, but it's the kind of hard that I am like, I want to climb this hill and I want to get better, and I want to like figure out the intricacies of this game, because like yesterday I had a game where everything went wrong for this other team, and I got in there and the goalie didn't pick up the ball, and I kicked the ball and I just tapped it past them and in the goal, and it felt like defeating a Dark Souls boss. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I scored. And this is, I'm gonna sound like a total dweeb here, this is what people must feel like when they're playing sports. Like but yeah, I really like it. It's called Rematch. I'm still super duper early, but I think this is like gonna be my new multiplayer game for a little bit, because I am really enjoying it. Even if you don't like soccer or football, I would recommend you give it a try, because it's very different. It's very unique.
Yeah, it's funny to me that I'm like, because I've always thought about like, what if they made, like a third person version of like a FIFA, and like this is what this game is, and
That's
it's
what this
like
is.
it's funny to like be like, oh yeah, I wonder if like, what if they made like football, but it was more like Rocket League, when Rocket League is just like football with like cars essentially. But I remember seeing this game like the trailer for it, and it looked really fun. So I'm glad it's doing well. Like I do want to like try it. But yeah, it does look very like, the skill ceiling seems like extremely high. So yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll try it at some point. That looks cool.
I'm enjoying it right now, but it is very much like that first weekend of Rocket League was, where I was like, I am on even pace with everybody here. And
Yeah,
then I took 2 days off and came back, and people were flying around in the air, and I was like, I don't know how to do that, so I will never be as good as you. But that's basically going to do it for this episode of Controller Club. As always, you can follow the show on social media at Controller Club Pod on Instagram and Blue Sky, at Controller_Club on Twitter, and at Controller.Club on TikTok. That is where you can chime in and find our New Game Plus Video Game Book Club Game of the Month, which for June, we are playing Sly Cooper 2, Band of Thieves, or for our friends on the other side of the ocean, Sly Raccoon 2, Band of Thieves, right? Is it Sly Raccoon in Australia?
It's just Sly 2.
Oh, it's just Sly
it is
2?
just
Sly
Okay,
2
no
everywhere.
Raccoon.
yeah.
Sly 2 everywhere.
Yeah.
Sly 2, Band of Thieves. We're playing that. You can chime in over on socials what you're thinking about it. Let us know, and we'll do a big deep dive discussion in a couple of weeks here. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, you can watch the show over on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, ring the bell. It really helps us in our eternal battle with the algorithm. And leave us a review if you're listening on Spotify. 5 stars. It's super helpful. Or I guess any podcast service. 5 stars. It really helps out. It's going to do it. Tom Drew, where can people keep up with you?
Yeah, you can find me at Tom Drew Art, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, basically everywhere on the internet. I'll just quickly do like a quick comment corner, because we did get 2 comments in the past weeks that I'll quickly shout out here. At Pacman7479 says, I'll get a Switch 2 if they ever re-release Twilight Princess for it, which I doubt will ever happen, lol. I don't know, I think like it could. I feel like we've heard about those Twilight Princess.
The dream is dead, Tom. It's over.
Come on, no.
It's going to come to
come
Nintendo
on.
GameCube NSO, and that's going to be the best we get.
Please don't say that. That's so sad. I mean, they released Skyward Sword. Like,
Tom, the
seems
dream's
weird
dead.
to
It's
do that.
over.
Anyway, and we got a second comment here from our boy Ryan Cortero, and he says the Milo Ventimiglia, I hope I said that last name right, game would have been at the top of my draft until it was revealed it was Black Ops 7. I still hold 007 First Light at the top of my list. I echo what you guys said about it not being the best Summer Game Fest, but there's some cool games shown off that I'd consider playing. So yeah, thank you for those comments. Keep them coming. Yeah.
Excellent. Lauren, where can people keep up with you and all the wonderful things you have going on in your life?
You can follow me at lrouse19 on Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, whenever I choose to post, which is not a lot, except about this podcast.
Yes, Lauren is the self-promotion machine. You can keep up with me everywhere. I'm at the Kleinfelt, TheKleinFelt. That's going to do it for this episode of Controller Club. As always, thank you so much for listening. Now, let's get gaming.